You guys look like... What do they look like, Jimmy?
Dorks. They look like a couple of dorks.
Get those birds!
They're coming to get you, Barbara.
What? Are you kidding? We got some family here. Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
You are listening to the In the Mouth of Dorkness podcast. Here are Brad, Lisa, Brian, and Darren.
Welcome to another edition of the ItModcast podcast. Joining us is Brian Young.
God, I love being a turtle!
The Turtle Dork.
Win the crowd, and you will win your freedom.
And also joining us is Lisa Gullickson.
Quick, suck it before the venom reaches my heart.
Wife Dork.
We're the rapping mummies, and we're here to say, this is our house, and we're here to stay.
And also joining us is Brad Gullickson.
And for gosh sake, watch your language.
That's not going away anytime soon.
Mouth Dork.
When science shits the bed, I'm the one who changes the sheets.
And I'm your host, Darren Smith.
Warm. Warmer. Disco.
The Disco Dork. Danger Will Robinson. And welcome to the ItModcast podcast. Yay!
So happy to have Brad back.
Yeah.
He was gone?
Oh.
Just kidding. I kid.
I listened to the fistful. Apparently, I was not gone because all my picks were there.
Oh, yeah.
I would have picked Deacon Frost, Darren. Absolutely, 100%. Never.
No.
Deacon Frost. He made a bad choice?
That was Darren's
He's trying to
Blade
ice skate
reference.
uphill.
Oh, yeah. That's right. I do remember that.
Never
Do
ice
you
skate
really?
uphill.
Oh, never.
Okay. How was your weekend, Dork?
Not too bad. Again, everybody knows I don't watch much. Or I just rewatch a lot of movies that I've already seen. I don't really watch a lot of new stuff. I need to change that. But anyway, there's been some films, I'll talk to you about this, that I wanted to catch. Some older films that have kind of been on my radar that I've been wanting to rewatch. And one of those films was the 2000 film Gladiator, in which Russell Crowe won his Academy Award, which I know at the time a lot of people thought was maybe undeserving. I'm not sure.
Yes, they did, and they still do, Brian.
Yeah,
He was great in that movie, though.
Yeah, he was. Rewatched
Is he, though?
When Brad was saying they, he meant I.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know what really kind of really kind of pushed me to really want to rewatch this. It's just the film. I think I was listening to a podcast and they were talking about sword and sandal films, and I just remember really liking what Ridley Scott was able to do with kind of having kind of like these Roman kind of epic sword and sandal films. It kind of harkens back to the films of like the 50s and the 60s, and I don't know. I love the personal story that the character of Maximus goes on with. Again, I love the subgenre of revenge, and this is definitely a great tale of revenge after the loss of his family. And I love how the character of Proximo, played by Oliver Reed, who passed away, I think, shortly after this film because they dedicated the film to him.
Didn't he die?
I think
during
the
production.
making of
it. Either during or
because they
something.
CGI his presence into the film in certain scenes.
Did they?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they did give a recognition to him at the end of the
Yep.
credits, so I didn't know if he died during production. Because maybe I couldn't tell which scenes it was.
Yeah.
But
It's like later on in the movie, like his last couple of scenes, he's just basically like a cardboard cutout.
interesting. Okay. He's got a powerful presence on screen, especially as that character of Proximo. But just like what my quote was earlier when we started the show, Proximo tells Maximus, he's like, win the crowd and you will win your freedom. And when he gets to Rome and he has to go and fight in the gladiator fights, he is able to win the crowd. And what I loved about watching it this time is Joaquin Phoenix is how the people of Rome start to turn against the emperor.
They're basically the crowd at the end of Rocky IV, the Russians.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. That's a good comparison. But because they want to kill, they don't. Well, Joaquin Phoenix doesn't want to kill him because he feels at this point he's going to make him a martyr. But I love how he turns the people against him by his fighting style and what he's able to do in the gladiator arena. So it's just an interesting tale of that story of revenge. and just a beautiful ending to the story. Connie Nielsen, who we just recently saw last year in Wonder Woman, again, she just has a powerful presence. Everybody in that film, I thought it gave a great, really, really good performance. And I love what Ridley Scott was able to do with really kind of doing a lot of the set extensions with the CGI and kind of melding the practical with the visual effects. And I think that was one of the main, not selling points, but one of the main things that really kind of brought that into kind of like this new era of filmmaking with what we see now with a lot of set extensions with the visual effects. But I thought a lot of the stuff was just fantastic. Jaimin Hansu was great, I thought, in the film. So I really enjoyed rewatching Gladiator. So yeah, that was awesome.
I'm looking at the old pictures from it, and like depuffed Russell Crowe. He's so sweet. He's like a little baby with his hair all combed forward.
I know.
Depuffed.
Pre-puffed, I guess.
That's it.
The nice guys.
Yeah.
I prefer my puffed Russell Crowe.
Yeah.
All Russell Crowe should come puffed.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Lisa, how was your week in Dork?
My week in Dork was amazing, thanks in large part to the Alamo Drafthouse, One Loudon, our local Alamo, because I got to see my new, very favorite film of all time. It's an unknown classic. This is the kind of thing you go to repertory theaters for. It's what makes the theater our church. We go there to be one with the art and with ourselves. And the film is Secret Agent 00 Soul. This is part of their video Vortex series. So Brad was telling me how this worked back in the late 80s, early 90s, where they're like, VHS is the future. It's so cheap and quick, and now anybody can make a movie. And so all kinds of movies got made directly onto VHS, and they look like hot garbage. and most of the time, you when you're watching these video Vortex films, you want to actively claw your eyes and your ears out because they're horrible. But this one was rescued by what I'm now going to canonize the patron saint of VHS films, Billy D. Williams. So good. So what this movie's about, if I could
explain it to me, Lisa.
encapsulate it. So Billy D. Williams plays Secret Agent 0, and he was super sexy. Girls could not resist him. He was walking through offices, and women were throwing themselves at him. He was deep mouth kissing left and right, but he was a little clumsy. Not that different from actually Ethan Hunt, but maybe more so. Very clumsy, breaks a lot of stuff when he's doing a job.
There's that scene where he trips over a gas can, accidentally kicks the gas can into a car, and the car explodes.
There are actually... Ooh, why did I do that? I have a mug of tea.
Lisa literally just fisted her tea.
Oh, okay.
Why did I do that?
Got tea all over your computer.
I did. That was the strangest impulse. That's what happens when I think about Billy D. Williams. I just become disoriented. Yeah, so he's a little clumsy. And so he gets fired. And he has to make his own way. Luckily, they let him keep the tux.
Yeah.
Which he wears full time, by the way.
Except when he's a detective, Lisa.
That's not true. He just throws the cape on over it.
Well, no, but he has the scene where he changes into like the Sherlock Holmes outfit.
Yeah, the Sherlock Holmes outfit is literally just a cape and a hat over a tux.
Nice.
Yeah, and there's one scene where he's like in at home in his robe and it's just over his tux.
That's right.
He's wearing the tux full time. So he has his tux, and so he decides to start a detective agency. And so he rents a little shop above a diner, and the place is real run down, but it's all he can afford. And before you know it, his adult son shows up and is like, I need a job. And his son is enormous and adorable.
But homeless and covered in flies.
He smells horrible. Nobody can stand him. So the dad is like, I have one regret, and it is my son and only child. And so him and his son start this detective agency. So he starts the movie like as a secret agent, but 10 minutes into the movie, he's now a detective.
Yeah.
And so he starts, solving crimes.
Yeah, he's basically Jessica Jones.
Snooping around on philandering spouses. But he's being closely watched by a British agent. And she's watching him very closely. So closely that she eventually becomes his secretary.
Yeah.
And they get along very well, and they find each other extraordinarily attractive.
Oh.
So he brings her back to his apartment, and he's making her dinner. He's making her a turkey, which he sets on fire and creates a big fire. He gets a phone call. Turns out that hot secretary, is his daughter.
Oh,
his
no.
long lost daughter.
It's an old boy situation.
And then
almost.
And so then she joins the agency. She completely forgets about the British agency she previously spied for. She just leaves them behind. And then they have this little segment where this guy goes like, I think my house is haunted. I need someone to stay at the house overnight. And so we have a little Scooby-Doo section where there's some rapping mummies. It's the best.
A pop and lock and werewolf.
There's a pop and lock and werewolf. Yeah, that's true.
An evil butler with a machete.
Yeah. The son has a secret weapon.
Oh God. No.
Which are his gaseous farts that are flapalicious.
There's an extreme close up of the fart escaping.
It's like green. I had to close my eyes.
It's so gross.
I could not take it. He's wearing a dress. I can't remember why. Right now, you guys can watch this as well because I'm just kind of scrubbing through the entire film, which is posted on YouTube, which is probably how it got projected in our theater. But really, the only way to see it is on the big screen. Absolutely.
Well, and we had a massive crowd for the film too.
People turn out for Billy D. Williams.
Well, and they turn out for Video Vortex. It's $1 ticket, right?
Yeah.
So it was a jam-packed theater. Everyone, the first 5 minutes, first 10 minutes, people trying to figure out what kind of shitty movie this is, and then once Billy D. Williams trips over his third gas can. The crowd just took to it and was extremely
celebratory and
vocal, and we were just dying of laughter for all 1 hour and 7 minutes. Of it. Oh, wow.
Yeah. At one point, so when he's in the haunted house, and it turns out it's a Scooby-Doo situation. Spoiler alert, or spoiler apology, but he just, for the rest of the movie, he's just wearing Dracula's cape and he's running around in the cape. It's the best.
And the cape keeps flapping into his face. Oh my God. So funny.
I can't sell this movie because it is just absolutely extraordinarily so wonderful. And what really makes it something worth watching is the fact that Billy D. Williams is just way too fucking good for this movie and he never shows it. He's 100%. He's in character. He's like, I'm doing a slapstick comedy. This is a facet of my talent that people have never seen. So I'm going to put this tux on and kill it. And he does. It's I have a tendency to zone out of movies. And I was 1,000% engaged. Yeah. I really enjoyed this movie.
We'll talk about zoning out later.
Damn.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was awesome.
All right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Brad, how was your week indoor? First of all, how was your trip?
My trip was great. Billy and I went to the Chattanooga Film Festival. We had an awesome time. Yeah. On our road trip back, we actually recorded a podcast episode, and we need to get that up at some point. Mm-hmm. But and I would encourage you to listen to that episode because we talked to so many cool and interesting filmmakers. And we saw a bunch of weird movies. The guy who not the main guy, but one of the guys who programs for Fantastic Fest was there.
Oh.
So I wouldn't be surprised if we see something like the Ranger show up at this year's Fantastic Fest, or all the creatures were stirring and things like that.
Yeah.
But we saw some good stuff. And then we come back to reality here in Northern Virginia, and I watch a ton of movies. And I was at the Alamo every night except for Tuesday. I saw The Sandlot. I saw 36 Chamber of Shaolin.
Yeah.
I saw Secret Agent 00 Soul. And
The best.
And then we watched Friday the 13th, final chapter on Friday the 13th, and that was great. That's easily my favorite Friday the 13th. But the movie I want to talk about is the one I just got out of minutes ago. I went and saw Truth or Dare from Blumhouse. And, Blumhouse has been on like a nice little kick lately. And I've really found myself engaged with their gimmicky little horror films. And I saw this trailer, and like I didn't fall in love with the trailer, but then I thought, well, maybe, I don't know. So yeah, it's directed by Jeff Wadlow, who directed Kick-Ass 2. It's better than Kick-Ass 2, I would say. But ultimately it does nothing with its idea. And that idea is, these kids, it's spring break. Are they college, Darren?
They are in college.
Yeah,
yes.
they're college. They go down to Mexico to party, and take a bunch of Snapchats and upload a bunch of YouTube videos of their party adventures. Yeah. And they meet this guy at a bar, or Olivia, the main character. She fends off the jerk friend from college, Ronnie, who once voiced Chowder from Monster House. For all you Monster House fans, I love that movie.
Yeah.
Chowder rules. Ronnie, though, not so much. He's a bit of a prick.
Yeah.
And while he's hitting on Olivia, this swell fella at the bar, protects her honor, gets Ronnie out of there, and she's smitten with his kind gesture, his valiant nature, and says, hey, join us. Let's party together. And he goes, oh, I know just a great place to party. There's this abandoned church that we should all go hang out and play the game Truth or Dare.
Always a good idea.
Always a good idea, right? But it turns out Ronnie, he has a secret, and that this game of Truth or Dare that he has infected this group with is cursed by a demon. And they said the name of the demon. It's like Kraglin or Krislin. Krillix, that's it. Yeah.
Krillix or some shit. Yeah.
Kraglin's from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
Krillix.
Wow.
And so what happens is this demon forces you to play Truth or Dare, and you either have to say like Truth or Dare, and then you have to follow through. So if I said, Truth or Dare, Brian. Truth or Dare, Brian. Dare.
Oh, stupid.
No, I dare you.
No.
To French kiss Darren. French kiss Darren.
French
kiss
Darren.
Darren.
Okay, audience. Brian's not doing it.
What, Brian?
So Krillix is
Cuts my
going
head
to
off.
force Brian to die in some fashion.
So it's kind of like for your Final Destination.
Yeah, kind of.
It's kind of, it's kind of like It Follows.
That's what I thought of. Yeah, it's very
I've never seen that.
much like It Follows, right down to how the plot goes and climaxes. It's very, very similar, without any of the wit or clever twists and turns of It Follows.
Yeah.
And also, all the kids are super, super annoying and dumb, and the kills are not that particularly inventive or interesting to watch.
That's true.
And, they set up this rule of, okay, Truth or Dare. If I say truth, then I have to answer whatever question the demon asks. And if I say dare, I have to do whatever the demon does. And if I don't, I die. Okay. But then, like, halfway through the movie, they're like, actually, it's 2 truths, and then a dare. So you can't do 3 truths in a row. We didn't tell you that beforehand. Right. And the rules keep changing a little bit for the convenience of the plot, and how the demon can interact with the real world changes on several occasions that I found annoying.
Yeah. Well, I don't know that I would say they necessarily change. I would just say that there are more rules than one, because the movie would have
they're withholding information.
Yeah, and so the movie would have you initially believe that the rules are, as said when the first group of kids are told, the rules are, you know, whether asked truth or dare doesn't matter, but you have to choose. If you refuse to do the dare, then you die. And so that's what's told to the kids. So that's what's told to us. But then, like, as they start to uncover more of the story and the mystery of how it all started, that's when, like, oh yeah, so since you want to uncover this new information, there's some other new rules that you got to follow or that are going to cause you to get killed.
But also the way the demon communicates with the kids changes depending on wherever that child is, right?
Yeah.
So like originally the demon communicates by possessing other people and asking questions or acting as a vessel for the demon. But then like the demon also communicates through graffiti. The demon also communicates via text. The demon communicates via phone or police officers, you know, walkie-talkie.
So that I think that, and I guess I'm playing devil's advocate here. I can't even believe I'm trying to defend this movie. I did give it.
I think a
2.5
demon
stars.
is making you do it.
Right. I took the dare. Sorry, Brad. It's
That's
not
okay.
me. Anyway, so I think maybe what's happening is every time, from what I got, every time that there is a any type of communication between the human and the demon, for me, I think it is all psychological because everyone's seeing hallucinations. So,
But it's not hallucinations because it's actually a demon.
Right. So,
but it's only what they can see.
Right. So, but the girl had the hallucination of all these people surrounding her in the library,
Right.
but it wasn't. So, the demon is, I guess, projecting these.
But what it ultimately is communication via whatever the writer needs to do in that moment. Like,
well, yeah,
they set up rules, they pretend to set up rules, and then they really don't. They set up a bunch of convenience.
Yeah,
and that's what I found annoying.
Yeah. But what I did find myself digging was, a spoiler for our review cast, I'm not that hot on Rampage, and I saw this movie. This was like a double feature for me. So I saw this movie after Rampage, which I was like, I was maybe a poor choice. But anyway, I found like when I was watching this movie, I found myself curious as to like, okay, well, how do you explain this, or how is this going to play out? And even with the characters, once the girl says, "I got this secret that's so big, I can't tell anybody. I can't tell her. She definitely can't find out." So when that happened, I'm like, "Oh shit! I want to know the secret. I wonder what the
I
secret
knew
is."
exactly what the secret was the moment she said that.
Well, what was the secret?
Because the moment they say like, "Oh, my dad killed himself," and she's like, "Oh, I've got a really big secret." I'm like, "Oh well, shit. That's connected. She tried to fuck her."
Well, I didn't put that together. When she said she had a secret, I was thinking like, okay, maybe it had something to do with the father. But I was like, did she kill her father?
Should have had something to do with that swordfish steak.
So, but what I did was I liked the fact that. So, I think what I found interesting about this film being like a horror movie is that the main character, she really isn't like your typical one-note scream queen. She starts out when the movie opens up. She's got her YouTube video open, live recording, and she's putting out a YouTube video about, hey, instead of going on spring break, why don't you come join this nonprofit organization that I work for, Homes for Humanity, and all that. So they try to give her some depth and make her seem like that type of person. But I like
then the moment then her friend comes in and says like, oh guess what? I canceled that for you. And she's like, what? Okay, I will go party with you.
And granted, okay, I understand. Like, I'm not making no excuses. I said 2.5, not 3.5. So it's the 2 for all the reasons you're saying. Like, all that is the garbage. Like, all that is predictable. It's so hokey or whatever. But what I'm saying is I like the fact that the main character has all these layers, because what she does at the end of that movie is so counter to who she is or who she's projecting to be about putting other people first.
But it's such a it's not at all established. You know, they established this entire personality of hers, and then she switches at the end, and you're supposed to feel like, oh, whoa, well, I guess she's a giant hypocrite like everybody else.
I didn't feel like I just thought that was ballsy. Because again, I was like, well, there's no lead up to her.
To me, they're just trying to do the It Follows ending, you know, a variation of that.
Yeah, I agree. But what I'm saying is like her character, like I just feel like with all the secrets, firstly with it being about, you know, and you could call it a convenience in the script or whatever, but her having the secrets that she has, the type of personality that she projects and tries to be, and how all of this calls all of that into question, and her having to change, and then the relationship between her friend, and then the boyfriend that she may be in love with or whatever, like that little triangle, like all that was like BS. But for me, I just found like they could have just had her a girl who was away at college, and she just misses her boyfriend or some shit like that. And then,
well, if they took all that away, it'd be an hour and 7 minutes, like Secret Agent 007.
Right. So, but what I'm saying is, like, I at least found that entertaining. Like, again, none of the kills. Like, I don't remember any of the kills. Like, one of them was, trying to get the girl to fall off the roof.
Yes.
I mean, that, and then how that plays out. But I don't know. Like, none of that stuff's memorable. I just found it. Like, I wasn't looking at my watch, like, okay, when is this going to be over with? And so
I certainly was. I definitely did not like it. I'm glad you liked it maybe a little more than I did.
Yeah.
But I was really disappointed in it.
Yeah.
I did see the trailer for The Purge, or the first Purge.
Me too, for the first time.
Same. I was like, oh, that actually looks pretty good.
I want to see it. Yeah. I had the very same reaction. Like, okay, I actually want to see this movie. Huh. Especially, like, the last one wasn't... I didn't enjoy the last one. But the one with Frank Grillo, the second one...
Well, the second and third have Frank Grillo.
Well,
but the second
first one he was introduced. Yeah. That's the first one I saw. I haven't seen the first one still.
It's not good.
So when I saw that one with Frank Grillo, the second one, I was like, oh, shit. I kind of dug that. Let me watch the third one. Yeah. And then it came out and it sucked. It's this trailer...
The Purge... the concept of The Purge is great.
Yeah.
And it could be extremely relevant, and it tries to be relevant, in the last couple. But this one being the first Purge and seeing the beginning of this horrible idea.
And then my favorite moment in the trailer is when they go, "Oh shit, you just sent government people in here disguised as normal citizens to like just the implications of that politically, like on a socio-political level." I just found that very interesting. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah, so hopefully they pull it off this time.
Yeah. Maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Truth or dare, Darren?
No. Truth.
Well, I want you to tell us one amazing thing you did this week and one terrible thing you did this week.
One amazing thing I did this week, I went to the Alamo Drafthouse. And I cut class. I cut class, and I went to the Alamo Drafthouse, and I got to see the 36 Chambers of Shaolin theatrically on the big screen. And that movie was amazing. I have a soft spot in my heart for older kung fu films, and being able to see one on the big screen was the best.
I'm loving what Alamo's doing with the Shaw Brothers movies right now. Come Drink With Me and this, and then we've got Super Inframan on Thursday.
Yep, Buddha's Palm.
Yeah.
That movie is nuts.
I'm excited.
That movie is nuts. And then you said one bad thing I did?
Yeah, one terrible thing. We talked about Truth or Dare. Okay.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. But for my week in Dork, I want to talk about a surprise, actually. I watched the first episode of Netflix's Lost in Space adaptation, and I'm not going to go too much into it because, firstly, I've only seen the first episode, so I can't speak to the series as a whole. That was another conscious decision not to just binge it. I also, because I firstly wanted to see if it was the first episode would at least hold my interest to make me want to binge it. And I'm glad to report that it does make me want to binge it. This was a surprisingly strong first episode for this show, and by strong, I mean specifically like with characters and at the very least the acting. There are at least 2 or 3 moments of drama and mixed with like suspense and then character work and those characters like emoting that I found myself surprisingly affected by, and I was not expecting that. And then the production values on the show, it looks like. I don't know if Netflix is funding this movie themselves or if this is something they acquired, but they spent some money on it. The only place that I would say that you could see where they were kind of like skimping on the budget is the robot. In this iteration of the story, the robot is actually of alien origin, and it's a really cool and detailed and intricate design. And what they do to skimp on the budget is they have like 2 different modes. One mode has like four arms, but then it can go into like peace mode or whatever, and then those arms come together and just form the 2 arms, and then the legs do the same. So you have a more humanoid robot that a guy can fit inside. So you have this suit, and you can kind of tell, but it's still a cool design. But more importantly, like the character work, the father's an asshole, and that I'm not too. That's one of the things with me. Like in shows, like I just don't like. I don't like that character. I don't like or that characteristic or that trait, like the asshole, just for the sake of having someone to have conflict within the group, because I don't think that's necessary. People can just have different ideas and conflicting ideas and not necessarily be assholes and still have some type of drama and conflict. But the dad is that. He's the military guy or the service guy that is just, has really been focused on that mission oriented. And he's the kind of guy that says shit to his kids like mission and, supporting role or whatever. Like he says all that, uses military terms with his kids and his family and stuff. So he's that guy.
He's basically Ted's dad from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Yeah.
Jerk.
And the kids are, and I like the cast of the kids, like Will Robinson, and I'm drawing a blank on the other two little girls' name, but they have the best scenes in the show. When Will encounters the robot for the first time, and then there's a rescue scene when the ship goes underwater, and one of the girls goes under to try to save the ship, and what happens to her on her way out. Like it's first of all, it's a thrilling set piece, but then just on a character level. On an emotional level, like I found it really surprising. It's this young girl. She has this spacesuit on. She's leaving the wreckage of the ship, but the ship is submerged under ice water. They crashed on like a frozen planet or something like that. And she's coming up, and something happened with the water. I can't remember, but it starts to refreeze the water. And so on her way up to the surface, it catches up to her, and she freezes in the water, like right close to the surface. And her mom and her dad and the rest of her siblings are up there and are trying to get her out. But she only has so much time reserved in her air tanks. And so the camera is, it looks like it's inside her helmet. So you kind of get like a 3/4 angle down to her. So it's a really close-up shot that almost has a fisheye look, but you just see all of her face. I mean, not all of her face, but you can see her emotions. And she's trying to be calm because she's the smart, level-headed one. She works in engineering, or she's really smart, but she's still a kid. So she's trying to remain calm. They're trying to, they have a mission to go get some phosphorus from like way off in the distance to bring back to trying to melt the water and get her out. But suspense is happening, is being built. Things are not going as planned. Time is running out. Her air's running out. And that girl's performance in that suit about the realizations of what's about to happen to her, and her being strong, that breaking down gradually, but her still trying to hold it together. Like that was some great friggin', like it made for a really intense and emotional scene. And I'm like, well, because this character isn't in the previous show that I'm aware of. First of all, it's a girl and she's African American. And I don't know of any African Americans in the main cast of the original Lost in Space.
No.
Or the movie.
No.
So this character, I was like, oh shit, well, I know Will's not going to die. He has to be in the show. The father and the mom are safe. And the other girl, she's safe maybe, because I know there's another girl in the regular series, but this character does not exist in the other property. So for me, I'm like, well, damn, are they going to kill her off? Is this going to be what makes the dad stop being a dick to everybody? And is her death going to bring the group together? So the suspense generated in that scene with this particularly new character, for me, was like really strong. And then again, the performances were just, I was shocked by the kids. And so I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of the series and see what happened. And not only I completed this episode, and Netflix started the next one, so I saw like the opening of the next one, but I stopped it. But I would say, like, if it's worth giving it a shot. At the very least, at this point, the character dynamics are, if not, I wouldn't say predictable, but generic. I would say that the people and the actors that are performing these playing these characters are at least entertaining enough to get you through the show. And so I don't know, like I'm curious to see how the rest of the series turns out.
Yeah, I've got it on my to watch list, and you're not the first person who's told me it's really great. So.
Oh, really? Mm-hmm. Huh. Okay. So yeah, when we come back I have to address one of the listeners, Shara.
Yeah. Hi, Shara.
She did a post on Facebook with the 90s cast of the Avengers.
Oh yeah.
And she wanted our thoughts. Some of those are good picks.
No.
I would agree. Some of them are, but some of them are like really way off. Firstly, I know Denzel Washington's the man, yes, but if we're talking 90s, that should be Wesley Snipes right there. Okay, that's for Black Panther.
And especially since he was supposed, he had that whole production that was going to happen with Black Panther.
Oh, yeah.
I'm surprised whoever made that meme didn't just put him there.
Off of that, yeah. But even
And like Eddie Murphy as the Falcon.
that's wrong
No.
too. And I'm going like, are they just going by how people look in relation to the people who are already
Unless
cast?
they're Asian, because no Asians allowed in the 90s.
Yeah.
Winona Ryder's Mantis.
Yeah. And as much as I love like the resurgence for me, for some fans out there, Keanu Reeves never left. But for me, this resurgence of him with John Wick, as much as I love dude, it's not Doctor Strange.
DiCaprio as Spider-Man?
That's
Hell
not no. So I do have some issues with the list. Now,
So which ones do you like?
you know what? I like Mila Jovovich as Black Widow.
No.
What? Why not?
No.
I would if this is the 90s, I would have cast her at that point. That's your Resident Evil.
I love Mila Jovovich.
How would you cast as Black Widow?
Frankly, I wouldn't want any 90s version of the Avengers because it would suck based on all the 90s
Right,
superhero
right.
movies.
But this exists,
Yeah,
and
yeah, that exists, and I deny it, Darren.
So I wouldn't cast Alicia Silverstone as Scarlet Witch. You know what? I do like Kristen Slater as Hawkeye. That's curious. It's interesting to me. I want to see that. Matthew Broderick as Ant-Man. I don't have a problem with that. Ron Perlman as Thanos. Yeah, I would take that.
Sure.
His head is already shaped like that, so they wouldn't need any shitty 90s effects.
This is a cool segue into our review cast. Ron Perlman looks just like George.
Oh.
And I mean that as a compliment. Like George is the news. I remember that thinking that we're watching the movie, like earlier in the movie, like when he looked up at it and he roared. I was like, is that like Ron Perlman?
So are you saying that's an extraordinarily handsome ape, or
or a rugged looking man? I don't know. Like, yeah, it's a handsome ape because
These opinions are not the views of the entire It Modcast podcast.
I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Ron Perlman can't look like the.
I
what
think
George?
It's not
this is true. I would love to be held either by George or by Ron Perlman.
See? Yeah. All right. So having said that, when we come back from the break, guess what we're going to be talking about? That's right. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson's new film, Rampage, also starring Negan from not Game of Thrones, The Walking Dead, Naomi Harris from Skyfall. She was also in Miami Vice and Pirates of the Caribbean. And there's a whole bunch of other people in the movie that I was surprised. Oh, Mylene Ackerman's in the film.
Weird.
I don't know who her brother is. Magic Mike Double XL's buddy is in the film for a quick cameo. Yeah, we'll be talking about that more when we come back. So be on the lookout for that. If you haven't seen the film, go check it out. Then you can listen to the rest of the episode.
I'm sorry for spoiling Truth or Dare.
Whoops. We'll be right back. And we're back, ladies and gentlemen, and it's time for our review cast of Rampage.
The French title is Rampage.
Is it? Not Le Rampage?
It's La Rampage.
La Rampage.
La Rampage.
Oh, okay.
And he's La Roque.
Le Rock. Oh, yes. And he is Le Big. Let's talk about La Rampage. Brian, we're going to go through like we normally do, a good, the bad, and the ugly. The you see the film?
Yeah,
You saw the film.
Yeah.
All right. Your good points about the film.
I like the relationship between George and The Rock. I
Yes.
thought that was really, really sweet. I thought the beginning of it was a great opening. Especially the opening in space when we get to learn
I
about
love that.
Yeah, all that stuff. And I didn't realize that the lady
from Sin City.
And also Death Proof. I mean, not Death Proof, Planet Terror.
Mary Shelton.
Planet Terror, yeah.
Mary Shelton. So when I saw her name in the credits, I was like, oh, that was her. Okay. So yeah, I really liked a lot of that stuff.
I would love to watch the prequel of the rat in space.
I mean, I loved that whole concept.
Yeah.
You know, it's basically picks up right before the climax of life. Shit's going down on the space station, and Mary Shelton's got to like get the. Well, what I appreciated was she has to get off that station, right? Because the rat's going to get her, and the place is blowing up, and all her friends and fellow astronauts have all been chewed to death. And the government's like, no, we're not going to let you into the escape pod. until you go get me my stuff.
I know. So yeah, I love that opening. And then of course, like a lot of stuff that we see with that sequence.
Oh, sorry, that wasn't the government, Brad. That was Mylene Ackerman's character.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
Energine.
I hate those names.
Yeah, let's.
Sorry.
I've got stuff to say about them in the bad, but
okay.
Yeah, Energine. I love the whole sequence with Manganiello, with the wolf in the woods. That whole section, that whole set piece was really, really well executed.
Well, like, okay, as like a video game movie, right, of Rampage, what is that video game? Well, the original idea was that these 3 humans get mutated into a giant Godzilla creature, a giant King Kong creature, and a giant wolf creature. Well, I don't know what that's a reference to.
Shit, that's scary.
And then, so, when I watched the trailer originally for this movie, I was disappointed that they didn't go with the transformation side.
Yeah, I didn't think they would, though.
But why not? Why not? If you're doing a remake of Rampage, or if you're doing an adaptation of Rampage, why not go with the core concept of Rampage?
I think because most people, I don't know if it'll be accessible to most people. Most people wouldn't really understand. It's easier to understand an animal being mutated into a giant.
No.
I think so. I think for
with genetic editing,
CRISPR is real.
Yeah, CRISPR is real. Genetic editing exists. It could have been the humans, and I have faith that humans can figure that out.
Yeah.
There's been Wolfman movies where a dude turned into an animal. Like there's been.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not saying that it could be done.
I just thought it was weird that they didn't do it.
I think that's the decision why they didn't do it that way.
Well, shame on them. I want to get those producers on the line. Sorry for hijacking your good, Brian.
No. That's pretty much most of it. The end sequence in Chicago I thought was kind of fun. But yeah, that's about it.
Oh, man.
All right. Lisa, you're good.
I can watch Dwayne Johnson speak sincerely to a CGI ape all day long.
Yeah.
It is so sweet. And I wish that the movie was just about them being friends. I guess it kind of was.
Actually, it was. Yes.
But I mean, like they wouldn't have to.
Gorilla, Amy.
No.
Good gorilla.
He didn't need to.
He didn't need no robot arm.
Yeah. What I love is like they were so tight, like they were so close as friends that George didn't even need to look at Dwayne while Dwayne was signing. Because I'm pretty sure like half of ASL is actually watching it, unless the implication was that he could understand by listening. So he just needed to listen, but he had to sign back because he couldn't speak. I don't know. The movie could have answered those questions, and I would have been there because Dwayne Johnson is adorable.
Yeah.
He is like the perfect combo of like crispy on the outside, super soft and squishy on the inside.
Oh,
it's like a jelly donut.
Yeah.
Like a hot popper, like with the
like for some reason I was thinking of like a something nougaty, he's like a Three Musketeer.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
so no nuts.
No nuts. Sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. That's a coconut thing, but yes. And I enjoyed Naomi Harris. Yeah. I thought that she has great comedic timing. She had a great energy bouncing off of Mr. Johnson, and who wouldn't? He's just a ray of sunshine.
Bouncing on that Johnson.
Yep.
All right.
Jack Quaid from Tragedy Girls was in this film.
Yes,
I'm seeing all those Tragedy Girls.
Yeah.
Yeah, he played one of
He's the wimpy dude in the beginning.
Yeah. It's funny because he looked...
That's where that dude... Okay.
Yeah,
yes.
It was funny because he looked
and from Logan Lucky.
He looked a little old for Tragedy Girls. Looked a little young to be in college. He's really an in-betweener that way. But he was adorable, fun character.
Yeah, who disappears.
Yeah.
Totally.
That's it. That's it for
good.
Good.
All right.
I like it'll come up later, I think, in the conversation. But I liked the end. Brad was just like, it should have happened. The movie should have stopped earlier, and I was just like, no, I'm glad.
Okay, so the ending. You like the ending?
Yeah, I like how the whole part with he was playing dead.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
enjoyed that a lot.
Okay.
And watching monkeys flick people off, apes, excuse me. Watching apes flick people off is fun.
Yeah,
That's
All
a
right.
fact.
Brad, you're good.
I had a blast with this movie.
Yeah, you
I
did.
really, really enjoyed it. Like, it's not, it's not going to end up on my top 10. It's not going to end up in my top 25.
Yeah.
But of the recent batch of rock movies, I've enjoyed this one the most. To Lisa's point, I really bought into the friendship between Dwayne and George.
Because it goes to like his like Dwayne Johnson is like zero irony guy. So whatever he does, he like commits to it 10,000%.
Well, and watching the performance, especially after the initial exposure when George is in the cave and he's killed that grizzly bear and he is terrified. I thought the digital performance of George in that scene was phenomenal. And I thought the pain and the sadness that The Rock was emoting for George in that scene was truly emotional. And I was surprised that the film would reveal such a warm relationship between those two. And then it would take the time also, in establishing that George likes to joke and bust the balls of all these other non-understanding human beings. And it built that so when George is infected and the genetic editing takes over and his rage is triggered, that there's a King Kong sense of tragedy on the horizon. And I was way invested. And watching George again after the initial exposure when he breaks out of the zoo and before the cops show up to put him down and they all whip their guns out. That scene was very Mighty Joe Young to me. And watching this digital creation was like watching Willis O'Brien's stop motion of Kong or Ray Harryhausen's stop motion of Mighty Joe Young. Like, I saw the artistry and the heart and the love in a digital creature, which I rarely experience, especially these days when so many films need 1,200 effects houses to get the job done. I felt like this was approaching a level of War of the Planet of the Apes type CG character.
I agree with that.
And when they finally get to the end and, the evil brother-sister team have put this sonic sound into the sky of Chicago for some fucking reason, calling the animals and the creatures into the city so that they can give them their chill pill and then get their DNA for their own projects or something. I don't really understand. And then those apes, and when George and Ralph and Lizzie, the crocodile, when they go crazy on that city, I loved the destruction of that city. I mean, I really enjoyed the Battle Royale climax.
Yeah.
It's nice to see siblings doing stuff together.
No, okay, Lisa. Okay, all right. And Naomi Harris, I also liked her backstory with the dead brother, and she's a former convict who's trying to make amends for the sins that she's committed as a evil, not at all concerned with God's will scientist, as Jeffrey Dean Morgan says in my quote in the beginning, science is shit the bed. They got to clean them sheets.
Yeah.
You Frankensteins, damn you. She's trying to make amends for what she did. And, I like that there's a sense of antagonism at first between The Rock and Naomi Harris, which I also really, really appreciated.
Yeah. Okay. Everything you said about George, my favorite thing in the entire film is that scene when The Rock first sees him after George's exposure. All parts of that scene, and I think a lot of it, it's funny because that scene doesn't happen too long after the previous scene that you were talking about when we first meet George, and they have a bit of interaction. We see a bit of interaction between The Rock's character and George. And only within that short period of time, and it's, for me, I think it's partly due to that previous scene, but also through the artistry of the CGI creation of George and his face and him being expressive in that way. But then on The Rock's part, as being an actor, able to act opposite something that's not really there. So when it's all put together, you don't think about that. Like during that entire sequence, like I wasn't thinking about that until the very end of it, and I go, shit, like, that thing wasn't even there. Like that's amazing. And so I really find I do think it's at the War of the Planet of the Apes level, and by that I mean when you get to that film, The War of the Planet of the Apes, you cease to think about on a conscious level about is Caesar real or not.
I think the difference to me between the level of effects in War of the Planet of the Apes and what we see in Rampage is that Rampage is really it is inserting itself into a style of monster movie that's in the past.
Yeah.
Right. And it, George is behaving in a way that we've seen that type of character behave. Whereas like the way they animate Caesar and the apes of the recent trilogy is that they are, one step removed from just a human actor.
It's an ape acting like a human being.
Right.
So you have to animate an ape acting like a human being. So,
Yeah.
but when they do that successfully, you cease to think about Weta and whoever else is. And for me, when there's moments of like the CGI destruction and stuff like that look really cool. But whenever there was a moment on George was on screen and it was of his face and he was emoting, like all of that worked for me. Like all of it, all the emotion that he was trying to convey transferred to me as a viewer. So that I really appreciate. Joe Manganiello, his cameo got me really excited for like his Deathstroke movie, because he makes a really badass like soldier type dude.
I love that dude.
They had to de-pretty him a little bit.
Yeah,
Too
still,
pretty.
But that
scar him up.
It depends on who he asks, because I think those things are sexy. That makes you sexy. It came down from his forehead down through his eye, and it went into his mustache. Did you see that?
Yeah.
He had a part cut in his mustache.
Yeah.
I was like, that was dope. But yeah, that I thought. I mean, I wish he would have been around for a long.
Yeah, it's like when he dies, you're like, wait, what now? What?
Yeah,
no.
He went to the candy
He
shop
did
in the sky.
He did a
Take it to the
Seagal
candy shop.
executive decision type cameo. I was like, wait, is he gone? I wish I could say I liked. I can't say it was a good. Maybe I guess it was a good, because it's not a bad thing. So the Mylene Ackerman's character and the guy that plays her brother in that film,
that we're not going to bother to look up.
right?
Jake Lacey.
While
Thanks, Brian.
while he was like annoying, I thought that was different and a unique take on a bad guy and whoever the right hand person is. And granted, her take as the bad, her character is one that we've seen before in films, but I just thought like his relationship and him being there, like why was he even there? Firstly, was it just to like humanize her or whatever? Like, cause it really, like he could have not been there and everything would have been the same.
I mean, it is a unique. I think character-wise, it could have been interesting.
Yeah.
I think ultimately they weren't written particularly well.
Yeah.
And they weren't performed particularly well.
Yeah.
But the idea of these evil siblings trying to keep their family company afloat using this insane genetic editing experiment, that's serviceable, to use a Brian word. When talking about Scott Eastwood.
Yeah.
Why bring that up, Brad?
I don't know, because you love Scott Eastwood secretly.
Yeah, I do.
Jake Lacey, who plays the brother character,
been
he looks like an even funnier looking Matthew Lillard.
He's been a douche in other stuff.
He's in Miss Sloane and he's in Carol, kind of playing similar.
Carol, like he was the fiance, right?
Right, yeah.
It was not his fault. He wasn't playing a douche.
I mean, I don't know. He's
playing a guy in the 50s. That's not great.
Well, he's feckless.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I wouldn't call him that, but yeah, I guess. Brian, the bad.
Oh, goodness.
Stop. Sorry, didn't mean to cut you off. And The Rock.
What?
The Rock, as far as my good.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, The Rock's awesome.
And granted, like I said before, I'm not the hugest Rock fan, but
because you're soulless.
When I kind of am, but when he's acting opposite the George, like that was like some of my favorite stuff in the film from him too. Like him and Naomi Campbell, like I'll get into the bad with that, but like him, I don't know. Like I just remember kept thinking when I was watching it towards the end when he's standing there and his white t-shirts all brown and black. I remember thinking like, why hasn't he fought the Predator yet? Like, why wasn't he cast in the Predator? He'd be the only human being right now that's in Hollywood that you could cast opposite the Predator. And when they're fighting, when it gets to the part at the end, when he's pulling all of his space gadgets off and he's like, frick, we're going to go hand to hand. The Rock is the only dude that could stand opposite him and I'd go, oh shit, this is going to be a good fight. Or that guy, that's not real. He wouldn't really beat the Predator. He couldn't take a punch like that.
I think The Rock and Batista need to team up.
Oh my god.
To take on the Predator.
That's too many muscles, Brad.
That'd be badass. That'd be badass.
Entirely too many muscles.
Can Terry Crews come?
Shit!
Oh my god. It's called the Predator Wrecking Crew.
Yeah. All right, Hollywood, get at us. All right, now the bad.
As much as we talked about the CG with George, I think there's some spotty CG, especially in the end.
That flying wolf looked real.
There was like one point where like the flying wolf was doing like a how can I create an audio picture, but he had like Superman hands and he was like flying in the background.
The flying wolf lasts for like 3 seconds before he has his head bitten off.
But first you see the silhouette of him like in the woods, like with his
fist,
Superman
that's right.
style, and it looked like
there is an insane shot of the wolf. This shot that Lisa's talking about, there's a shot where the wolf is like flying through the woods, and it looks like fucking Gamera.
It looks like a 5-year-old cutout. Like they're like, we need the wolf to fly. We're out of money. Get Stevie. Get him with the construction paper. He's good with scissors.
Yeah,
Superman wolf.
It's an insane shot.
I love that shot.
I love it. But when I saw it, I was like, whoa.
It looks like
it was bad.
It looks like somebody smudged or smeared it.
I would not put it in my bad segment because I liked it. I enjoyed it. But it stood out.
Like bad CGI?
Well, it has just like
Or
a
just
really
awkward?
weird image.
Oh.
Like an awkward image.
You mean when they were on the ground and he was going from? And they were like, what the fuck is that?
No, not when he was going from like hop to hop to hop. There is a long take, and I think it's through goggles.
Oh no, it's when Joe Manganiello has this. He's
He has
trying
him
to
on the
scope him.
scope.
He's like,
and the way it's shot, I mean, it looks like Gamera, like like Jet Jaguar launch.
But there's something like anatomically bizarre about it,
Yeah.
where the angle is just off. It's just like, how can he be in profile and I can still see all 4 paws?
But
it's weird.
It cracked me up. So that goes in my good. I'm pulling that into the good.
Excuse me. Brian, continue.
Oh, I don't know if it's ugly, but
No, bad.
No, I'm just thinking. Jeffrey Dean Morgan and his.
You mean Negan?
Basically playing Negan.
He walked right off the set. He did this on his lunch break.
Is that how he does that cowboy act?
Dude, that is Negan. Not that whole his posture, how he would cock his head to the side when he said certain things
and stuff.
All straight up Negan.
It's basically
it's nuts.
Yeah, it's the exact same thing.
It's
but,
nuts.
I mean, he's having fun with the role, but
I like the character, like ultimately what he turned out to be.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't disposable like Joe Manganiello. He actually, served a purpose in the stories to some degree.
Joe Manganiello served a purpose.
Yeah,
eye candy. Yum yum yum.
Well, yeah, but I don't know. I got mixed feelings about Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I mean, I don't know. Like, I think he was doing a little too much. But at the same time, I like him as an actor.
Sure.
He'll always be the dad from Supernatural to me. I'm always happy to see him whenever he pops up.
Yeah. That's about it for my bad.
When he pops out of hell. That's generally where he's coming from.
Great. He's great in it. Like, and if I didn't watch The Walking Dead,
yeah.
I wouldn't have anything to say. But it's just weird seeing. It's literally like they said cut on Walking Dead. He just went over soundstage.
Put a suit
and they're
on.
like action, and he didn't bother to change anything. It's crazy. Lisa, you're bad, not you.
Oh.
Well, she is bad.
She's bad. She's bad, but you're not bad. You good bad.
I would say the first bad would be the blonde intern at the beginning of the movie who's just like blatantly throwing herself.
Yeah.
It's like, girl.
Like, get some game. lady.
The Rock's got dogs to pet, apparently.
Um,
Get some game.
I'm just saying, you can't just, I don't know, at work, it's not appropriate. That's just a
You
moral.
just look thirsty when you do it.
Yeah,
like that.
exactly. You're making interns look bad. That was what I can't not tell the listener, Brad.
All right, go ahead. Tell
I'm
them.
gonna tell them. Brad's like, you don't have to tell them, because every time we do an action-ish movie, it's just like I get to tell the audience of our beautiful podcast, all dozen of you, exactly when I fell asleep and woke up during this movie. I must have fallen asleep through 80% of this movie.
I mean,
so I fell asleep.
You missed
the second
45 minutes.
You missed the entire second act.
The entire second act. Yeah. I think I missed all of the bad stuff.
That's the act to miss. That's the act to miss.
So I fell asleep when they're like, we shouldn't have George on a plane. I fell asleep right then at that line. We shouldn't have George on a plane. Boop. I agree. Unconscious. And then I wake up. I never get to learn the alligator's name. I'm learning that now. Lizzie.
No,
Adorable.
they don't say Lizzie in the movie. They say Ralph for the wolf, but Lizzie's the name in the game.
Anyway,
right?
Well, I never got to know
Yeah,
Naomi Harris's backstory. That was news to me.
Oh.
But yeah, I woke up when Chicago was being destroyed. So I slept through. It was a 9 a.m. showing, and I find The Rock very soothing. And I went napperoni. And I guess that could be my bad.
Look,
that is my bad.
Tom Cruise has set the bar on shit going sideways when you're in an airplane.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you didn't miss anything.
It
hasn't reached it wasn't even mummy level.
It really wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't mummy level.
No. And it had more stuff going on.
I know.
I
know.
So you didn't miss much.
Okay. I just wish I could have watched a little bit more of George getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
There wasn't really much of that.
You don't
really?
You don't see the growth. You just
Yeah.
see on one scene he's the size of a truck. The next scene, he's the size of a building.
Well, like
yeah,
that plane crashes and he survives the crash somehow.
Yeah.
And then the next scene, he's like fucking huge.
I've just figured out my cosplay.
George?
Yeah, I'm gonna be George, and then I'm gonna wear a white monkey suit, and then I'm gonna carry around a little The Rock action figure. I'm doing it. Mom, start sewing. Rev up that sewing machine.
I would kill to see you in an albino monkey costume.
I would be adorable. I'd be so sweet.
Oh, you kind of have to do it now. You put it out there into the
I need to
world.
learn
At
some
point.
some quick sign.
I can teach you one. Help. Project X, Matthew Broderick. Help. I remember that.
That's a good one.
What else? That's it for your bad?
I suppose
'Cause
so.
you love this movie. Brad, do you have any bad?
I do have bad. I mean, like after the scene where George is, I was gonna say arrested, but when he's hauled off, when the helicopter comes in, and it shoots him with like a whole bunch of tranquilizer darts. That scene.
I'm sorry, Brad. I'm sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I'm making this movie in my head. So what did you do? How was your day at work today, honey? What'd you do? I read a giant gorilla's rights. What?
They did not read that Gorilla's rights. So like up until that scene,
You have a right to remain silent, and he speaks sign language. So sweet.
Fuck you both. I'm the only one who can hijack other people's weeks and dorks and stuff.
But that's the joke, though.
Yeah.
You have a right to remain silent. And then The Rock's like, you asshole.
So right up until that sequence, I was like, hold on. Am I loving Rampage? Is Rampage great? And the answer is no, because the film continues beyond that scene.
What's
and all this the middle is super long.
Not for
The
me.
plane sequence is fine.
By the middle, are we talking about
I'm talking about
post-crash?
No,
Or to include the plane?
What I'm talking about is the death of Big Dick Ritchie, right? So from his point on, when he dies, when they kill, what's his actual name? Big Dick Ritchie's real name?
Manganiello?
Manganiello, yeah.
Oh.
When they kill Manganiello, and they get George onto the jet. George breaks out of the jet because the scientists put the radio waves in. From that part, all the way up until the Chicago battle, it's a real drag. It's a slog. And honestly, I think a lot of that has to do with Jeffrey Dean Morgan. I think he's terrible in the movie, and I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan, but well, now I'm learning it's a Negan performance.
And when I say that, I mean quality wise too. Like it's TV level like performance.
Yeah, I really did not like him in this film.
Yeah.
And while I sort of enjoyed the fact that he started off as an antagonist to The Rock, and then, you know, The Rock saves his life during that crash sequence. And I mean, okay, I did love how Jeffrey Dean Morgan gets hit on the head while the monkey's breaking free, and then he wakes up in the sky. You know, and suddenly for him, it's like the beginning of Predators. You know? I enjoyed that.
Yeah.
But his performance I found really grating. And when he did eventually become an ally to The Rock, his role of, okay, I'll look the other way. Here's the keys to the helicopter. Oh, I'll try to call the bomber off at the end of the movie, did nothing for me. And I thought that the film did not service that character in any way positively. And then the villains of the piece, I love Malin Ackerman also. I really didn't like her performance as the super evil business science lady. Yeah. And I found her performance really grating at times. And her relationship with her brother, every time they cut to them, I was like, oh God, no, just get back to the George. Okay, just get back to the George. Yeah. Get back to the Rock and Naomi Harris. Because I really liked their relationship and how that developed over the course of the plane and the arrest and the escape. But the Malin Ackerman and her brother, terrible. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, not a fan. Although, well, I'll save that for my ugly. Never mind.
Okay. Yeah, basically all of what you said. So that was why I rated the movie so low, is because after the initial introduction to George and the introduction of George's plight in all of this, like that was the strongest stuff in the film for me. And then it became those set pieces, and then cutting back to Jeffrey Dean Morgan's character or whatever in between. But then I just found the rest of it boring. Like just the monsters going through to Chicago to get to this tower. That it wasn't exciting for me.
Like did that lizard have one river from the Everglades to Chicago?
I don't know how he got up there. Like I really don't know how he got to Chicago, because it was down by Florida, right? And there's no way, there's nothing that connects the ocean from Florida to that river in Chicago. So how it got there,
I don't know my geography. Maybe there is. Let me know, listeners.
But even still, like for me,
Brad, that was the Mississippi. I was like, I don't know where the Mississippi goes.
I just found that part of the film boring to me. Like it wasn't. I don't know. It just didn't captivate me. It just wasn't exciting to me. I was thinking about, you know, damn, how much longer to the end of the film. And then with Malin Ackerman's character and her brother, because of the type of villains that they were playing, like I really wasn't even. I wasn't even anticipating like their demise, but then her demise makes no sense at all. The fact that George eats, like the fact that he would think, oh, I'm going to put this in her purse and then make George eat her. Like, what would make you think George would eat her? Like, there's been no precedent of that in the film. Like, there's been no previous incidents of George eating a person in the movie. So when that happens, I'm like, that's fucking weird and fucked up.
And I also think that, like, wouldn't George have, like, when he comes to, have this tremendous guilt about eating a lady?
Yeah, I ate a lady. I'm sorry. George sad. Maybe George was like, she was a bad person, so George did good.
I don't think it's ever okay to eat a whole person, even no matter how bad they are and how much of an ape you are.
And I feel that, like, and I understand that. So, but then that's the thing. They never even set that up. Like, he just eats this lady. And I don't know. I didn't like that.
It's inconsiderate.
Yeah, I just felt like the strongest stuff in the film is the first act. And I'm not saying like this is a bad film, ladies and gentlemen. Your mileage may vary. It is worth seeing. It's entertaining. The audience that I saw it with, they really enjoyed it. It's just that I just found, you know, the back half of the movie to be boring. And
I thought of another good. When he helps the little man out of the...
Oh, during the credits?
Yeah, during the credits. That was good. Sorry.
That was a good thing. Good, George.
I'm going to come back to that.
And I don't know if it's because I just watched Kaiju and Jaegers fight in the city, and just see some more. I've just watched some more dynamic stuff in that regard. But
I think this is better.
I respect your opinion. I really do. It is crazy. I did like seeing the wolf and the giant alligator burrow through skyscrapers and stuff. But at the end of the day, like it just, I don't know, like it became too. I don't know. I don't know what it was. It just didn't work for me. Having said that, we get into our last portion, which is the ugly. And Brian.
Not much ugly about this film. I mean, it's not even really a movie you can really.
I'm sorry, I have one more
be
bad.
critical.
I'm sorry, I have one more bad. Naomi Harris's character. I wish she had more to do. Like they can give The Rock.
She feeds Malin Ackerman to George.
She should have did that to a bunch of other people. I just wanted her to do more instead of her just being like just the scientist or whatever. If Rock can have like a, you got all this redacted backstory in order to make it make sense that you're flying a helicopter and shooting Apache rockets. You know how rocket systems work in Apaches, and also you're shooting a grenade launcher.
Special forces.
In order to make it make sense that he does that, they need to give her some type of secret clandestine background so she can do more. Like I want to see. I don't know. I'm bitten by that bug where I want to see the female people, like counterparts, do the same shit. That
I mean,
I just want to see more cool shit.
I mean,
She's probably learned some cool stuff in prison.
Both.
And no, she'd have been shanking some people up, but we didn't get any of that. She should have shanked Marlene Ackerman, then threw her into George's mouth. Like, take that phone check, bitch.
Everyone there is just to ultimately service The Rock, and that's a problem.
And that's what I thought about during when they were in the office looking for the vials and stuff. I thought that I had that thought, and as cool as The Rock is, and as cool it can be and entertaining it could be to have him headline a movie, I think it would make for a more entertaining film if you had someone, have him paired up with someone who's his equal as far as a counterpart. And so, yeah, that's it. All right, Brian, the ugly.
I would say just some of the designs, probably more so the design of the crocodile. That was kind of ugly.
I mean, he was definitely ugly.
Yeah,
he was definitely ugly. But I thought it was a good ugly. I enjoyed that crocodile creature with his Jurassic Park spitter.
Yeah, he had the little flip.
Darren knows. I did a perfect imitation.
But yeah, I think that's about the only thing really that was ugly about the film to me.
Lisa.
I thought at the end of the movie, some of the sets, like when they were the IRL sets, the not CG sets of the city looked garbage. Like when they would switch to the city, and I would feel like I was like doing one of those like walk through a fake film set at like WB or something.
Yeah, you expect the Universal Tram to wander by.
It's just like it just looked really, really fakety fake.
Especially in that shot where The Rock is looking at the people, because part of his whole background is he hates humanity and he prefers animals, but now he's
is that what those shots were?
Yeah, that's exactly what was. He was going, right. Oh no, we really do have to call off the bomb. Maybe I do like humans a little bit. Oh shit, there goes the Universal Tram. Wave to the tram, everybody. Yeah. They look terrible.
And when they were like evacuating the people. And then,
and Jeffrey Dean Morgan encounters the brother in the lobby, and he's like, "Oh yeah, you want to go through that door over there?" And he's like, "Oh, you're gonna let me go? Yeah, just give me your laptop and that rat in the cage, and you can get out of here." Because Jeffrey Dean Morgan knows that something's gonna fall on him.
The second you walk out there, his timing is amazing.
So splat. But like that sequence also looked really ugly.
Yeah. Is that your?
I mean, my big ugly in this entire film is Naomi Harris going like, I know how to get the antidote to George. I'm going to drop it in Malin Ackerman's purse, and I'm going to murder this woman.
Yeah.
And we do see in that Rampage of Chicago sequence, George is, like in the video game, going up into buildings, popping his fist into windows and pulling people out and eating them.
They show that in the movie?
They do, but the way they show it in the movie is like far away shots. There are some really strange wide shots of the devastation, which I actually kind of liked, where you just saw like the ape over here eating some people, you saw the crocodile over here tearing up some tanks, and then the wolf would run on by and stomp on some humans, and they were just very static, weird, faraways. But yeah, so Naomi Harris drops the chill pill into Malin Ackerman's purse and then throws her at George, who grabs Malin Ackerman, squeezes her, and then like throws her up like a pistachio.
No, he doesn't throw her. He holds her up like
that's right. Yeah.
And drops her.
Yeah. And then she falls in, and there's this. I mean, I love this shot. It's a bird's eye view shot of George's jaws and Malin Ackerman like folding up into his mouth so that her like feet and hands touch, and she goes ass in to the gullet of George. And that's why you buy a 3D ticket, people, because our 3D showing of that paid off in that shot, which was gross and grotesque. And then like George has been eating people. He's gonna have some horrible shits later, and he's probably gonna have some guilt. Maybe
that's good. That's leading into my ugly. George is going to be put down. George murdered people. If a dog bites somebody, that dog gets put down.
Well, and also like, so he dies. You think King Kong style? It was beauty that killed the beast, Lisa. And then he's alive, so he can give the camera the finger. And they're like, "Oh, we'll just find a place for him." Well, we're not getting him on a plane. Like what?
I like that because to me, like the cliche is, of course, that King Kong dies at the end of the movie. So when he came back, I thought that was truly unexpected.
Yeah, it was.
And so I thought that it was fun. I thought it was silly.
And I liked the fact that the chill pill just took his rage away. And
he's still huge.
He's still a kaiju. Yeah. So they are going to have to find some massive habitat
just give
for
him
him.
They're some island or something.
They can't do that. They have to kill George.
George is going to be
murdered
back.
people. He ate people.
He lightly murdered a couple of extras and Malin Ackerman.
And this movie did gangbusters at the box office this weekend. There will be Rampage 2. It's not going to open at the grave of George. George is going to be fine, Darren. It's a movie.
I can't wait till I hope that.
I'm not wishing euthanization on any animal. I'm just saying George murdered people. I know people whose dogs got put down for biting somebody. George ate people.
But this isn't reality, Darren. This is a movie.
You notice I ain't complaining about the leaps in logic from that helicopter maneuver off that building. I don't care about any of that shit.
Yeah, I loved that.
I loved it too.
That was nuts.
I was like, how y'all gonna pull this off?
And going back to Pacific Rim and the ugly of that film, of just like the complete devastation, and I really enjoyed, in particular, when they would have the same generic 8-bit moves. Like there's a few moments in this film where they copy the mannerisms of those characters in Rampage, and I really like that. The way they would punch down at a tank or grab a human out. Or, as Lisa mentioned, help a human from the second floor onto the ground. Good George. Good George.
Good George. Let us know what your thoughts are on Rampage if you did, in fact, check it out. You can hit us up on @ItModCast on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Brian is at Brian William Young on Twitter, Instagram. He is on Twitter. He is the Turtle Dork. On Instagram, he's the Turtle Dork 1, and on Facebook, he's Brian William Young. What are you looking forward to this weekend? Nothing.
No, nothing's coming out. So catch up.
Just hibernate.
Is that true? Is there nothing coming out this weekend?
It's not Infinity War, so no.
Nah, Super Troopers 2.
Oh yeah, it's 420.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll see it.
What? Oh wow. Okay.
I've seen all the Broken Lizard movies.
Oh.
He's a completist.
Oh.
If nothing else.
Okay. Wife Dork can be found at Sidewalk Siren on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, and at Bake Dork on Twitter.
Yay!
What are you looking forward to this week?
I don't know. I'm going to I just made Florentines, so you can look for that on the blog, the Bake Dork blog.
Nothing, no recipes for the next blog?
Yeah, so the Florentines are going to come out this week, and then next week I'm going to do a spin on the Florentine ingredients, and I'm going to make matcha muffins.
Looking forward to that. Brad, what are you looking forward to?
I am looking forward to Super Troopers 2. I'll be back at the Alamo again this week. Super Inframan is on Tuesday. And then Wednesday, Speed Racer Theater A.
That's what I'm looking forward to.
Yes, we all are. And they're changing the name of the Secret Society of Filmmasons.
That's right.
That name is going away, and it's just going to be Film Club, which is great. And maybe it'll bring more attention to the Film Club by just calling it Film Club and not confusing people with TSSOFM. But I'm kind of sad.
Yeah. End of an era?
Yeah, that we were a part of.
That's right.
Yay.
And we can still be a part of.
We still have the buttons.
Yeah, once a Secret Society member, always a Secret Society member.
I got a Secret Society t-shirt, so.
Pow.
Ooh,
that guy can be found at MouthDork on Twitter.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd, and Untapped.
Oh, I talked to Dean Devlin, the producer of Independence Day.
Yes.
I've got an interview with him coming up on Wednesday.
Tell him how shitty that second movie was.
Wow. Be on the lookout for that.
He also directed Geostorm, and we sure as hell didn't talk about that.
And I'm Darren Smith, the Disco Dork, on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Letterboxd. I was about to say I'm tacked, but I don't drink beer. I am looking forward to a nice, long, hibernating, cryo-sleep slumber until the 26th of April. I don't want to be awake for these next week and a half.
Yeah.
Almost gonna be.
I've only got 2 more Marvel movies, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that's right.
I've already watched Spider-Man,
Thor and Black Panther.
Yeah, Thor and Black Panther.
Yeah,
I've loved this rewatch.
Yeah.
I do not know what I'm going to do with myself once Infinity War is over.
Oh, it's so exciting. Be on the lookout for that, ladies and gentlemen.
Our Fistful episode coming up
is a fistful of.
What is it?
Summer
Anticipation.
Summer Anticipation, our top 5 most anticipated films of summer of 2018. No, by default, you know it'd be Avengers Infinity War. So
That's
we're not
April, though. It's not summer anymore. April 20th. That's not the summer. So you
But it's
can't
technically a summer movie.
No, it's not technically a summer movie. Summer is May 1st.
Oh, okay. So it's not going to be including Avengers.
No, definitely not.
That's right.
Well,
okay.
either
I was
way.
just going to say, I was going to preface, we had agreed that we wouldn't include Infinity War. So.
Yeah, well.
So yeah, be on the lookout for that. So now guess what our number 1 is with that. That's going to do it for us. Enjoy the rest of your week. Thank you for listening. And until next time.